Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Ignorant Intellectual on Media. Today, I thought we'd do another mixed haul. I picked up some stuff from Facebook Marketplace, and I went around to some of the thrift stores. It's not a lot, so it shouldn't be too long, but I thought maybe it would be interesting to do it because I got a few things that are pretty good. All right, so let's just get started. First, I found this Forager, complete trilogy. Now, it's gone on to have 6 books. And this is, a young adult series about a post-apocalyptic world in a city, that's very strict. And I don't know, I thought it might be interesting to read. I haven't read any like dystopian type of stuff in a long time, and I don't know, maybe it's for young adults. Maybe it'll be too simple for me to read. I don't know. Along the lines of the Hunger Games and Maze Runner and that kind of stuff. So maybe this will end up turning into a trilogy of movies. We'll see. Anyway, so Peter R. Stone wrote it, and the first 3 ended up putting together in one book, and then the next 3. Then you can get actually a box set of all 6 of them. I've been looking around. I haven't been able to find it used. All right, so that's Forager. All right. What else do we have here? We have Voltaire Candide, one of the great French satires, basically. Part of the Penguin Classics, the newest version of them, right? So this is really easy to resell. That's why I picked it up. I read it, but I don't recall much about it. It's basically what? It's about a guy who is in the household of a German baron, and then he ends up getting kicked out, and then a whole bunch of bad stuff ends up happening to him, but he always ends up keeping a positive attitude, right? So it's one of the great French novels. And speaking of one of the great English novels, Great Expectations, this is my favorite Charles Dickens book. If you haven't read Charles Dickens, why haven't you read him yet? Other than Shakespeare is the greatest writer in the English language, in my opinion, anyways. Okay, so this book is probably his best, in my opinion. So but it really doesn't matter. I'm not going to talk about this book specifically because all of his novels are really fun to read. What I want to talk about with Dickens is the way that he writes. Now, you can have basic, simple writing where you're writing, the man went to the store, right? But would you really want to read the man went to the store, right? No, you got to flare it up a bit. And narration is one of Dickens' strong suits and language as well. So he wouldn't be saying the man went to the store. He would say, he'd elaborate on it and tell you the reason and the background for why he's going to the store and how important it is that he gets to the store at a certain time and all that. So if he was an orator, which he probably was, he would be a very good orator as well, right? Because he'll just suck you into his storytelling, right? So if you haven't read Dickens, you gotta pick them up and read them, okay? And then I found this, The Little Princess, which basically part of the Puffin Classics. These are like the Penguin Classics, but they're called the Puffin Classics because they're young adult and children's novels. This one's about a girl who ends up losing her father and goes from being rich and well taken care of to being poor and living in an attic of a house or whatever, right? So it's supposed to teach you that it doesn't matter how much money you have if you have the right attitude or right positive outlook, right? So. All right, so that one I found, and then I found this one, and if you haven't read this one, I would highly recommend this one. If I was to rate this book, it'd be a 10 on 10 very easily. Basically, well, I don't want to wreck it for you, but basically it's about a guy who ends up traveling on his motorcycle and fixing his motorcycle, and while he's fixing his motorcycle, he ends up talking about his life and about, Plato and philosophy and Zen Buddhism and all this other kind of stuff. It's really, really powerful novel. I read it. I couldn't put it down. It took me maybe 2 or 3 days to read this book. So, extremely, extremely good book if you have not read it. What else do we have here? We'll get through the books first. Okay, so then we have Kaido Fukushima's Zen Bridge. All right, so when I've been going out to the thrift stores lately, I've been picking up a lot of Eastern religion, Eastern philosophy books. So I guess somebody got rid of their collection, or a few people maybe got rid of their collection because it hasn't been always at the same thrift store. I picked up a lot of stuff on Zen Buddhism. I picked a lot of stuff on Taoism, and like that. So this is just another one added to it now. Basically, this is basic. Now, I looked through this. I went through it, and I didn't see any markings on it because once I get a marking, you know, you have to really sell it cheap because nobody wants to buy a book. People want to pay a used price, but they don't want a used book. They want a book that's like new, but then they want to pay a used price for it, right? So any book that has markings or anything in it, you know, people get upset if they bought it, even though they bought it for like a cheap price, right? So this book is like $20 here in Canada. So I would probably charge like maybe $8 or $9 for this, but because it's, you know, it's got a marking on 2 pages, like somebody put parentheses, right? Put parentheses around it, right? That basically made the book, you know, worth less. So I'd probably maybe sell this for $5, right? So then mention in the comments that it has one page that has some markings on it, right? So, anyways, the Zen Buddhism is really popular for readers. So, all right. So I picked it up, but like when I pick up a book, I'll pick up the book and then I'll do this, right? I'll go. Right, I'll look through it, see if it has any markings quickly. But if somebody puts something in it like really small, sometimes I don't get, you know, the individual pages. Sometimes I'll miss it, right? Anyway, so then the last book is Walter Pater's Marius the Epicurean. All right. So this I didn't have, so it's cool. Whenever I find books like this in thrift stores, it's really awesome because I'm not paying like $10 for them. I'm paying like $2 or $3 for them, right? And this is part of the Everyman Library, the original Everyman Library that started back in what, like pre-World War I, and went all the way up to the 70s. And there's 1,000 volumes in this library. This is number 903 of the 1,000. And I didn't have it, so it's cool. It's not in the greatest of shape, but it's not price clipped, so it still has the price. It's not price clipped here, so that's nice. But as you can see, the person didn't protect the book, or the 20 people that owned it didn't protect it, so it's all wrecked. It still has the pricing. The person who originally bought this book paid $2.75 for it. Now this is the last version of, you know, when the Everyman Library first started out, the books were like this size. Then they went to a larger sized book. Then they went through like a bunch of different type of covers. This is the last. When you see a book with this spine, this is the last type of dust jacket. So this is the most recent. So this is probably, you know, a 1960s publishing. When it published 66, yeah. So this is 66. This was published. All right. So now, but what do you do with books that have dust jackets and you don't want to have them turn into this wrecked piece of cracked dust jacket? But even if you get it like that, you don't want it to get even worse, right? So I'm going to take my microphone off, and I'm going to get something, and I'm going to show you what I do to protect. All right? I'll be right back. All right. Put back on my microphone. Okay, so, and I turn this and point it downwards so that you can see the table. All right, hopefully that's good. You can see the table. Maybe a little bit forward, a bit more, and a little bit down. All right, so stay. All right, so here's this. Okay, so this is Mylar, all right? So basically, I ordered this from Brodart, all right? I have no affiliation with Brodart, all right? Anything that I show you, I will specifically tell you if somebody's sponsoring it or whatever, I'll tell you. But, you know, I don't have a big enough channel for anybody who really want to be sponsored, want to sponsor me to get the word out about a product of theirs. So it's just a really good product. So what this is a roll of basically, you know, acid-free plastic, right? Thin plastic, so it won't eat your dust jacket. It doesn't react to paper, right? So, and this one is really cool because they do a flip. They do a lip on it on the top. If you notice, see how they do a lip, right? All right. So basically, what I'll do is I'll lay it down. All right, like this. And I'll take the dust jacket off the book, all right? Now just line the book up on this, all right? It's expensive to buy this stuff, so you don't want to waste it, so you want to get it pretty accurately the size that you want it without wasting too much of the plastic, right? And just get some scissors. Then you just cut through it. All right. Now you have it. So now what you do is you just cover the plastic with it. So you flip it underneath this one. All right. All right, so now it's under. And you fold this one. Now, because these books are so small, there's an overlap of this because you don't want to get, the height of this. You want it to be able to fit every book, except for maybe those super large coffee table books. But your average book, like this size of a book, right? But a hardcover with a dust jacket, the large hardcovers, you want it to fit. So you want to get a, how much did I do this? This is 11, so it's like 18, maybe 18 inches. I got it tall, 18 inches to cover all the dust jackets. So when you get a smaller dust jacket, it lips over. So what you got to do is you got to, take your scissors and cut a line of it off. All right. So now it covers the whole dust jacket. Okay. Then you just fold the bottom part. All right. So you just make sure it's tight against the edge of the paper. Then some people will take a piece of wood and slide it over. I just use my fingers. All right. Now it's got a fold in it. And you can get ones that doesn't have a fold. You can also get ones that are individually made, and they have paper with them as well. But the paper will, brown out after a while, and you'll have to replace the dust jacket cover. All right. So now you see it's nice. It's flat. Then you just put the book back in the center. All right, and you get the air out of it. All right, and there. Now you have the book. It's in a nice, going to protect the dust jacket. You could actually just take a bag and put it in a bag if you want, like one of these bags. One of these bags or whatever, you could just put the whole book inside. Sometimes I'll do that with paperbacks that are old, right? You don't want air to get them because paperbacks usually will fall apart pretty easily. So, but you can get smaller ones that are like this size, and they'll cover the whole. But of course, you can pull it in and out if you want to read it, right? But anyways, so it's nice and shiny now. It looks nice on the shelf. All right. So that's what I usually do. I have the fan on, so it's blowing stuff. All right. So there you go. All right. So now Before I do movies that I bought that I haven't watched, I'm going to do two movies that I already had and I did watch. This one I watched on the weekend. It's called The Corporation. All right, I'm going to move the camera so it's back in its original place. All right. All right, there we go. All right, so The Corporation. All right, now this, if you're a right-leaning person, if you're a conservative, you're not a liberal. All right, so there never used to be a difference between a leftist person and a liberal. They're basically interchangeable. But with all the radical liberal, like it took like 60 or 70 years to finally go. But the West have always been on the left, well, left center mostly. But in Canada, mostly the liberals have ruled Canada for most of the time. And when Canadians get irritated that the liberals are either becoming too corrupt or they're overstepping, their bounds or whatever, what happens is people will do a revolt and vote conservative, and then the conservatives will come into power. But like if you look through the history of Canada, I think maybe about 60 to 70% of the time we've been governed liberally and federally anyways, right? So but what's happened is the left is usually, we do have the NDP, which is a bit more to the left than the liberals, but the liberals are adopting policies that are like way out to the left, right? And so now you got to distinguish yourself between being a leftist and being a liberal, because some of the stuff that the leftist people are espousing, it's just, I don't agree with it. So, but I'm definitely not a conservative, let's put it that way. And I'm not far right either. I'm like pretty much in the center, maybe just to the left a bit, right? Where the liberals usually are. And the conservatives were there as well. The Progressive Conservative Party was always at the center and then maybe a little bit to the right. But then with Preston Manning back in the day, moving the right, we've had some really crazy politics in Canada. And, a lot of the stuff that happens in the United States politically kind of bleeds up here north. So so we can thank the Americans for some of that. But anyway, so the reason why I was saying is this is a pretty left documentary. It's basically, if you notice, there's a person, businessman with a briefcase. He's an angel, but then if you look, he's a devil if you really look at him. So basically, what the documentary people in this movie decided to do was take all the typical traits of a psychopath and see if they apply to the corporation. And if they do, basically, because corporations were originally put together to get a good sum of money together to do one project, and then the corporation would be dissolved after it. So maybe like building a bridge across the river or something. It's like you need a lot of cooperation, you need a lot of cash and everything, so they create a corporation to build that bridge. And once the bridge is built, then the corporation dissolves because it serves no purpose, right? But then what happens was that people have decided that it's too risky to own a corporation, so what they did was they made a corporation its own person, right? So in law, basically a corporation is a person. You can sue them, they can sue you, right? And nobody owns it, really. You know what I mean? The shareholders have investments into it, and you only have voting shares. You hire a CEO to run the thing, but he doesn't own the business, right? So it's a public entity, and it's a person, right? So what happens is, the main reason why that happened was so that people that own the businesses, now they'll own them publicly through shares or whatever, but what happens is it makes them a limited liability company, right? So or no liability company. So when they do something wrong and they get sued, the people that actually own the corporation or the shareholders that own the corporation can't get sued personally, right? So only the corporation can get sued. What happens is, so what that does is, let's say I'm a businessman and I want to have a business and I know there's a bit of risk involved and I don't want to lose my house or my car or my wealth. What I'll do is I'll incorporate that business, make it an entity, and make me like an employee, like the CEO, where I pay myself a salary but I don't own it, right? So it saves me from people coming after my personal assets, right? So it's a good way for businessmen to get out of the way of you know, uh, not take responsibility for some of the stuff that their companies do, right? It's because no matter how smart of a person you are, well, one, it's to avoid responsibility, but another thing is um, when you, let's say you have a sole proprietorship, you're worried about everything that you're doing, and sometimes you won't progress because of it, right? So you're worried that there's too many external factors that may come involved to get you sued, right? So that's why you do the corporation. So then people will innovate and want to, advance things, and that's the reason why the West, has, since the Industrial Revolution, just created so much wealth, right? So you don't want to hinder that in a way, but of course, a person that's taken a drug and they end up having, brain dead babies or whatever, probably think differently, right? Or other people that have been, wronged by corporations, right? But anyway, so this basically goes through all the different, traits of a psychopath to see if a corporation, not now that it's an entity, a person in the eyes of the law, if they're a psychopath, and if they are a psychopath, then why do we have them? Why would we want corporations around if they're psychopaths, right? And basically, the conclusion that they came to at the end of it was that a corporation is a psychopath, right? So anyways, it's a leftist film, but they did make some good points, but I think some of the stuff is just a little bit, they're pushing the boundaries of common sense or whatever. Anyways, you could tell that there was an agenda to the film a bit, right? I mean, if you take a step back and look at it, there's a bit of an agenda, So anyway, but it was an entertaining, just a little bit too long. I think it was just over 2 hours, 145 minutes. So 2 hours and 25 minutes, almost 2.5 hours. It was a bit long. All right, the second film that I watched was this film, God Created Woman, right? Starring Brigette Bardot, all right, and directed by her boyfriend or her husband, Roger Vadim, at the time. And basically, this film it's all Brigette Bardot. I mean, she had a screen presence second to none, and her face is basically, she's an adult, but she's got that youthful looking face, right? That innocent looking youthful face that guys go crazy for. So they said, let's take advantage of this woman's beauty and make a film. So the actual plot to the film isn't as important as actually seeing her on screen, and she plays a young crazy person, trying to be happy but doesn't know how to be happy, and all these men are pulling on her one way or another because of it, right? And but it's not the plot. The attraction to that film is all Brigette Bardot. So, but it's not a bad film. I don't know why they put it in the Criterion Collection though, because it's not one of the greatest films ever made. I would probably give it maybe a 6 or a 7 on 10 if I had to rate it, right? All right, and then now I found 2 other things, and I've seen both of these things, but I just picked them up. So I found this nice edition, the DVD edition. This is like the 4-disc massive edition of Battle Royale, the Japanese film that stars a bunch of high school kids and their teachers. Their teachers are sick of the high school kids not having any discipline and listening to their teachers, and it's always a problem in the school. So what they do is they go on a class trip and they end up on an island, and basically it's a fight to the death island. They send all the students out to kill each other, and only one will survive, right? So it's Battle Royale, right? And Takeshi Kitano is one of the teachers. That's the person I was trying to think of, but he didn't direct it. It was directed by Kinji Fukasaku, all right? But basically it's a DVD box set, so why pick it up? Because DVDs are so passe. Well, why not get the Blu-ray? Well, I have the Blu-ray of it, but this is probably, if you can handle it, it's a DVD. It's probably the best version of this that I've come across so far. So it's 4 discs. It has the first film, and it has the sequel, and then it has 2 discs. Imagine 2 DVDs full of extras, right? It's like and it's shaped like a book, right? All right, it's really beautiful. They did the packaging really well, and then they put a disc in each one of the book folds. Now, I'm not a big fan of putting discs raw into things other than like a clamshell, I guess you call it, a clamshell, where it just pops down and it just floats there in that. This thing, you got to pull it out back and forth, and you're going to scratch it, right? But basically, it's basically a book, right? So if you're a big fan of the film and you want as much coverage of the film as possible, then this DVD set is probably, the best stuff that you can do with 2 extra discs of extra features and stuff. It's just crazy. It's got 2 special features: the making of Battle Royale press conference, instructional video, birthday version, audition and rehearsal footage, special effects comparison featurette, Tokyo International Film Festival 2000, Battle Royale documentary, baseball scene rehearsals, behind the scene featurette, filming on set, original theatrical trailer, special edition TV spot Tarantino version. So much stuff on it. So it has Battle Royale 2 Requiem is the second one, right? And then it has the theatrical cut, and then I guess it has the director's cut. So 1 disc, it's not 2 discs, it's 1 disc, sorry, of extra features. But you have the director's cut version of it, then you have the theatrical cut version on it in disc 2. Disc 3 is Battle Royale 2 Requiem, which is the second film. And then disc 4 is all the special features. So it's really nice. I wonder if they've come out, and then it has this plastic thing to put over, right? I wonder if they've come out with this on Blu-ray. If they did, I'll put it up here, and then maybe it even has even more stuff. But it has both films, so I'm going to keep this. I think one of the actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I think one of the boutique labels came out with a really nice edition of this as well. So this one is Anchor Bay that put this out. All right, so I'm going to keep it until I find something better. But I don't know. It's pretty awesome. I don't have the second film, so I have the first film on Blu-ray. So, but anyway, so that's Battle Royale. If you have not seen it, it is quite a bloody and fun film. And last but not least, I picked this up today, and that's the Omen collection. All right. Now, I was a kid when the trilogy, the first trilogy that came out. So this has the trilogy, the first 3 films. And then it has the remake that came out in like 2006, right? So, but originally the first 3 films, I don't know how well they'll hold up because I haven't seen them since I was a kid. And when I watched them as a kid, man, they really freaked me out, right? But I don't know how I'll react to it being like a 50-year-old, you know what I mean? We'll see. Has it dated? I'm not sure. But anyways, I found the Blu-ray edition of it. So it's kind of cheesy packaging. Not really great packaging, but you got the 4 discs, right, like that. So not a lot of extras. It doesn't look like. It's just basically I don't know if you'd call it a stripped down set or whatever, but basically you got the 4 movies in one package, which is cool. And so I will add that to my collection because I didn't have it. But like I said, it's not really, anyways, it's okay. I wouldn't pay a premium for it. Let's put it that way. All right, so that's the Omen, Battle Royale, and that's everything. Okay, so it was a quick video, right? But let me reiterate: pick this book up and read it. It'll blow your mind. And just read it. It's awesome. All right. All right. So that's everything. Hope you liked the video. If you did, leave me a thumbs up. Think about subscribing if you so choose. I would appreciate it. And I'll see you in my next video. And thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye for now.